This video is brought to you by Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist, my new book, which is a comprehensive guide to all aspects of music theory necessary for playing rock guitar. From blues to the cycle of fifths, from understanding and using modes to choosing the right notes for a melodic solo, from pentatonic scales to chord construction and keys. It's all covered in a clear and concise manner. With accompanying video demonstrations, jam tracks and tabs, you'll learn to use the knowledge you gain in accessible ways that make sense for less than the cost of a few guitar lessons. Check out the link in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Today it is Wednesday, or at least it will be when this video goes out, and you know what happens on a Wednesday. If you're a regular viewer of this channel, we deal with viewers' questions. So before we get into it, I'll just mention that if you have a question or a query of a guitar or music-related nature, and you think I'm the chap to answer it, then get in touch. You can use the email form on my website. You can see the address there at the top of the screen, link in the description. You can leave a comment below this or any of my other videos, or you can get in touch directly with my email address, which is jrguitartuition@gmail.com. One chap who did exactly that is called Ken, and this was his question.
Hi John, as for your viewer questions Wednesday videos, how about some easy rock and roll stuff? Thanks, Ken.
Okay, it's been a while since I've done any rock and roll stuff, and I don't think I've ever sort of looked at perhaps the more accessible, kind of easier end of the spectrum of doing it at all, really. It is an omission, and I apologise for that. But anyway, here's a little piece of music that I cooked up, and hopefully this is the kind of thing that Ken was looking for. Is that the kind of thing you mean, Ken? I hope so. Anyway, here's a little bit of an explanation about just exactly what I was getting up to there.
Here is the explanation.
Okay, so on the intro and outro part, I was playing some just basic bluesy rock and roll licks made up largely of the A minor pentatonic. I was adding a couple of notes in, and you get these additional notes in, a lot of blues and rock and roll stuff. First of all, I was playing around with that sort of interplay that you can get between the minor third in the minor pentatonic and the major third that would be in the A7 chord. So you can either bend that note, that minor third, towards the major third, like that, or you can just go to the major third, like that. The other note I added in on a couple of occasions was like this F sharp note here, the sixth, which is a note that you'll find in the A major pentatonic. So, kind of. So those were the sort of things I was doing on that, on those intro parts and so on. Just turn around so you can see the guitar face on a little bit better. After that, we had, what did we have? We had 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of verses of a 12-bar blues, effectively. And after that intro part, we come in on a D chord. We come in on the 4 chord. And so there's a D chord. And I'm just playing this pair of notes here, this little dyad, this double stop consisting of a D and an A note, the root and fifth of the D chord. And then I would move that around when we go up to here for the A chord, just transpose it up for the A chord. And then here it is for the E chord. Now what's important here is the rhythm that you play this in. This is a really, really widespread rhythm in lots of rock and roll music. And what you're going to do is play that pair of notes appropriate to the chord, where it's D, A and E, on the and of beat 1 and on the downbeat of beat 3. So you're going to get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If I do that with a metronome, you will hear that, hopefully in context. I'll not go full speed. We'll do this at about 100 beats per minute, so you can kind of hear it in a bit more detail at the slower tempo. So here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and like that. So on the and of beat 1 and on the downbeat of beat 3, every rock and roll song will kind of do that at some point. Somebody's probably done a cover of pretty much every rock and roll song and used that technique in there. It's so widespread, so that's why I included it. After that, we go into some sixths, and these are basically more double stops. Now, the chords in a 12-bar blues, which is all this rock and roll thing is really, are usually played as seventh chords. A7, like that, D7 and E7. And the scale that will fit best over an A7 chord or any seventh chord is what we call the Mixian Mode. Okay, all you got to do to get a Mixian Mode is take your typical Do Re Mi scale, Do Re Mi, major scale, take the seventh note and lower it by 1 fret. And that would look like that, mapped out along the length of a single string. So if I'm starting the root note there at the 7th fret on the D string is A, that will give me A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, and then A again. Okay, next thing we're going to do is count 6 notes up the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that will kind of give me the high note in each pair of double stops. And there they would all be mapped out on the B string. So that's giving me F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp. And then you simply pair those notes up into those kind of pairings like that, which will give us that kind of thing. And obviously you transpose this around, so you just move that around so that you get the right scale for a D7 chord and the right scale for an E7 chord. And all I was doing with those was kind of playing something like this. Say for the A7 chord I was going like that. For the D7 chord, all of these shapes will, as I say, come out of those patterns there. You just transpose them around the neck to get to the right chord. Next up, I was using some tritones. Tritones, again, it sounds complicated, but it's not. It's just notes which are 3 tones apart. So, for instance, if I take a G note here and go up a tone, and then go up another tone, and then go up another tone, I've got a C sharp note there. So I can play the G note either as the open string, but I want to be able to hear that G note at the same time as I'm playing this C sharp note. So I'll get the G note here on the 4th string, and I've got this pair of notes here, really kind of dissonant, clashy sounding pair of notes. Why am I using that? Well, because those 2 notes are part of the A7 chord. So I can use that little pair of notes there as a as a surrogate for just playing an A7 chord, and I can kind of slip and slide around with it a little bit like. But the really interesting thing that happens is when you move it down a fret, what I've now got are a pair of notes from a D7 chord, like this. Like this, so. There's my original shape. Those two notes come from an A7. Move them down, as you've seen, they come from a D7. So that's all I've got to do to go from the 1 chord, A7, to the 4 chord, the D7. Like that. And if that's a D7, we'll move it up 2 frets, it'll become an E7 as well. So you get... There's your 1 chord. There's your 4 chord, back to the 1 chord. 5 chord. And then back to the 1 chord again. And by the magic of music theory, these shapes all repeat 6 frets higher as well. So I could do the 1 chord there, the A7, the 4 chord there, the D7, and the 5 chord there, the E7. And that was one of the cycles of the chord sequence that I was doing. That just kind of playing those little tritone double stops. I think the final approach I took was a little bit of chord substitution. So imagine this D minor chord shape down here. Because of my dodgy finger, I've got to play it with my little finger like that. But it's a familiar enough cowboy chord. Right, so let's move that up so that it becomes an F sharp minor. D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp minor. And if I move it down 2 frets, it becomes an E minor. Well, so what, you might say? Well, if I want a slightly more sophisticated form of the A7 chord, you can extend that chord again because it's based on the Mixian mode that we were looking at earlier. You would find that the notes you could extend it with would give you an A13th chord and maybe an A9th chord, like that. Well, lurking within the A13th chord, there is an F sharp minor chord. A13 is A, C sharp, E, G, and a B usually, and then maybe an F sharp on top of that. So you've got the F sharp, the A, and the C sharp in there. That is an F sharp minor chord. Likewise, the A9 chord has an E minor chord in it. So if I just kind of thump away on the bass string, on the A note here on the bass string, and play those 2 chords on top of it, you'll hear that it gives a rather pleasing rockabilly type sound. Like that. You hear Brian Setzer doing that kind of thing, amongst other things, a lot. You can kind of arpeggiate it a little bit. Like that. Also kind of quite a Scotty Moore kind of thing to do. And then just transpose that into the other 2 chords. So if we look at the relationship here, there's an A note. I'm playing an E minor and an F sharp minor. So just think about that relationship there. There's the root note of your chord, and then play a minor chord based on that note and a minor chord based on that note. Well, if you do that for the D7 chord, you end up with a B minor and an A minor, B minor and A minor. You can see that's just the top half of B minor and kind of bar chord shape. And then for the E7 chord, we can play a C sharp minor and a B minor. So you could get something, let's see if I can go through a 12 bar sequence like this. 2, 3, 4. That kind of thing. So that's just a little bit of chord substitution. There's a lot more jazziness than you might think in kind of 50s rock and roll, rockabilly sort of stuff. And that's just one little reflection of it. And then, you know, so I did the fourths on the under beat 1 and the downbeat of 3. I did the 6th. Again, you can do that sort of thing with hybrid picking. But, you know, keeping it simple, you can just strum it as well, and just as long as you make sure that you're muting the 3rd string, it's going to work fine. I did the tritones, like that, and I did the chord substitutions, like that. And those are quite a few accessible and very useful little approaches that you can take for playing a rock and roll guitar part, be it either a rhythm guitar part, or you could just, make it into a lead guitar part. No reason why you couldn't. So there you go. Now you know what to do. Go away and have some fun with it. And as always, you'll find a full tab for that piece of music in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing it and an extended jam track to play along with for yourself. That piece of music was only, just over a minute long. There's a longer version of that backing track, so you can really get stuck in. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address, and the link is in the description. As I'm sure you know by now, $3 or £3 a month gets you access to all of these additional resources and goodies that go along with these YouTube videos, and a massive thank you to everyone who supports me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are also downstairs in the description. And that is the video for today, folks. Hope you found it informative and useful in some small way, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget, as ever, the live stream every Friday 5 PM UK time. We drink beer and talk about music and guitars and a whole host of other topics. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.